Okay, modern historians, let's have a little bit of a play around with some ideas connected to this revolutionary period of 1905. And again, I'm going to direct you, and I'm making a big deal of this, direct you to the textbook here. It's really making the point that in 1905, after the 1904-1905 Russo-Japanese War, after the Bloody Sunday incident, after that massacre in St. Petersburg, the Tsar has very little option but to end autocracy. Now, not all revolutions are violent. We have in our head often that a revolution must be a violent event. I want you to think about when a government makes a complete change from autocratic power, where a royal family such as the Romanovs have absolute power. How big a change that is to a society when they adopt the constitution, when they adopt the power of a parliament or accept the power of a parliament of elected representatives. So the shift from Tsarist autocratic rule in 1905 towards a constitutional monarchy, that is the 1905 revolution. So in the months after the Russo-Japanese War, after the Bloody Sunday incident, the Tsar was forced to reconsider the way in which Russia was ruled. The threat of violent uprising, an overthrow, assassination, the removal of him and his family from power was so great that there had to be a reconsideration of how Russia was governed if the Tsar hoped to avoid rivers of blood. So in 1905, in the October Manifesto, the Tsar brought into place or initiated changes to the way Russia would be run. And this is here in your textbook on page 113. So what are the changes in his manifesto of October? Granting all citizens the right to freedom of speech and assembly, granting all citizens the right to vote for parliamentary representatives in the new Russian parliament called the Duma, an acceptance by the Tsar that all laws would be passed with the approval of the Duma, not just by the Tsar unilaterally making laws. This would mean a complete change. The Tsar felt that he had to do this in order, he only had two options in order to avoid those rivers of blood. Firstly, what he could do was crush any opponents by sheer force, but that would be short-sighted. That these rights that he would grant would be the only way to avoid a violent uprising. If you like, from this American cartoon, he'd reached a point where the hammer of oppression had hit him around his own head, beaten his own brains out, if you like, smashed his own crown, that by trying to crush opponents, by using oppression, he'd actually knocked his own crown off his head. That 1905's Bloody Sunday had actually overplayed his hand, smashed the crown away from the autocrat, and had brought freedom, parliament, liberty to Russia. Another way of seeing it is encapsulated in this cartoon. Russia's Tsarist regime under Nicholas II had been facing down revolutionaries and reformists, just as it was trying to face down Japan. But Russia's system of government had been nearing its end. The Russo-Japanese War and the outrages such as the Bloody Sunday incident had forced Tsar Nicholas to reform. That Tsar Nicholas had little left that would keep him in power. He was as defeated by his own oppressive approach to rule as he had been by the Russo-Japanese War. That he had to concede power to the moderate reformers, to share power if he wanted to survive. This, however, was not accepted by the violent revolutionaries, the left-wing revolutionaries, the radicals, such as the Marxists. People like Vladimir Ilyich Lenin were still promoting revolution. Revolution was still in the wind. Even if the Octoberists had got what they wanted through the calling of a Duma for the first time, the socialist revolutionaries, the SRs, those who became the Bolsheviks, those who made up the anarchist movement, they continued to prepare for revolution. We now need to grapple with, what is Marxism? Who was Karl Marx? What were his ideas? And who were these Bolsheviks, led by Vladimir Ilyich Lenin? What did they want? And what would this mean for Russia?